The issue is it seems as though he wants to kind of like exert power and dominance over people who
There's nobody in control of me. Like, I do what I want to do. So I'm deciding to your life.
Imagine one of the biggest moguls in music, a man who built an empire, now facing life in prison, to the same guy who threw the wildest parties and ruled the charts is now watching everything he built come crashing down. Yep, we're talking about Diddy, the same Diddy who, not long ago, was rubbing shoulders with the elite and living the high life. But things have taken a serious nosedive, and now he's wrapped up in scandals that just keep piling up.
Took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs.
It gets even juicier when you throw Drake and 50 Cent into the mix. We've got some serious drama unfolding and it's all coming to a head. Drake and Diddy used to be close, like really close, and now they're on opposite sides, all because of a single beat that sparked one of the wildest feuds in recent hip-hop history. Oh, and of course, leave it to 50 Cent to poke his head in and stir things up even more, trolling Diddy during his downfall like only 50 can. If you thought that was the worst of it, just wait, it gets messier. So let's kick things off by diving right into what's been happening with Diddy. The man has been at the center of a massive storm, from scandalous accusations to legal battles that could literally put him behind bars for the rest of his life. It all started when the authorities raided 2 of his homes, and the details that surfaced were, well, shocking to say the least. Diddy's been living large, but it turns out that some of his private gatherings weren't just A-list events, they were something much darker, with the authorities seizing personal items that raised more than a few eyebrows. We're talking about 1,000 bottles of personal lubricants. And trust us, people aren't letting him live that one down anytime soon.
And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact
Diddy's parties, often referred to as freak-offs, are where the most disturbing accusations have surfaced. These wild events, reportedly fueled by substances that would bend anyone's will, were allegedly used as a cover for something much worse. And now the accusations are catching up with him. Federal authorities aren't just investigating him for 1 or 2 incidents, it's a full-on conspiracy case that could take down the entire empire he spent decades building.
And I said, you know, like, because they know, like, if something crazy is going on, if they send it to me, I'll make sure I get out there. Like, as far as this 50.com is concerned.
One of the wildest parts of this is how fast things spiraled. As soon as word got out about the raids on his homes, the hip-hop world blew up. People who used to roll with Diddy, attend his parties, and look up to him suddenly started distancing themselves. And Drake, he was one of the first to subtly throw some shade and step back from his once close relationship with Diddy. It all started with a couple of Instagram posts which many believe were low-key digs at Diddy. One in particular caught fans' attention, where Drake posted a screenshot from the 2015 movie The Big Short, the part where Ryan Gosling's character says, "I never hung out with these after work ever." Yeah, that's a pretty clear message. Drake was making it known that he wasn't about to be associated with whatever Diddy had going on behind the scenes.
That clearly there is a criminal investigation underway and that they believe that there would be evidence of crimes in one or both of these homes.
Now, let's not pretend this came out of nowhere. Drake and Diddy's relationship has been on a roller coaster for years. They went from being tight, collaborating on music, and sharing stages to having one of the nastiest fallouts in recent memory. Things hit the fan back in 2014 at DJ Khaled's birthday party at Miami's Club Live. That's where their simmering tensions boiled over, and the whole world got wind of it. There were rumors flying around that the beef started over the beat for 0 to 100, which went on to become one of Drake's biggest hits. So Diddy had first dibs on that beat, but he passed on it, and Drake swooped in and turned it into a banger. But Diddy wasn't exactly thrilled about it, feeling like Drake had stepped on his toes and taken what was rightfully his. When they crossed paths at that Miami club, things got physical. Various reports claim Diddy confronted Drake about the song and tensions escalated quickly. There were rumors that Diddy slapped Drake, saying, "You will not disrespect me." Some witnesses claim they saw punches thrown, but either way, it ended with Drake getting injured. Allegedly, Drake dislocated his shoulder in the scuffle and had to take some time off to recover. The whole incident went viral, with people taking sides and speculating on what really went down that night. The beef was out in the open and fans were eating it up.
And I understand that it may be more attention than you usually get, but it'll be the kind of attention that when it goes away, you go away completely. Like, there's no.
After the Miami incident, things stayed pretty cold between Drake and Diddy. Even though they weren't throwing jabs at each other publicly all the time, you could feel the tension. Drake, being the clever lyricist he is, even threw some not-so-subtle shots at Diddy in his 2016 track, 4 p.m. in Calabasas. So song is filled with lines that seem to take aim at Diddy's career, questioning his relevance and mocking his past hits. At one point, Drake raps, "Even the OG's trying to press me. Hey ha, no way out cause I'm already in it." That no way out reference, yeah, that's a nod to Diddy's debut album, and it wasn't exactly a compliment. Drake was making it clear that he wasn't scared of anyone, not even someone as powerful as Diddy.
On a documentary, I think a lot of people thought that he was just joking around. It turns out he's not, so this is actually a real project that's being made under his G-Unit movie.
And of course, 50 Cent couldn't resist getting involved. It's no secret that 50 Cent loves to stir the pot, and when Diddy started facing these legal troubles, 50 was right there, trolling him on social media. But that's not all. 50 Cent took it to another level by producing a docuseries titled Diddy Do It? Yeah, you heard that right. The title alone tells you everything you need to know about 50's feelings on the whole situation. He's not just trolling for the sake of it, he's out here making content about it. And according to reports, Netflix even picked up the series after a bidding war. 50 is leaning all the way into this, and you know he's going to keep taking shots at Diddy every chance he gets. It's no surprise that 50 Cent has taken it upon himself to expose Diddy's downfall. These two have had bad blood for years, and it goes way beyond petty drama. Their feud dates back to the early 2000s, with 50 Cent accusing Diddy of various questionable actions, including being involved in the demise of Notorious B.I.G., but the rivalry intensified over time, with both of them throwing insults at each other and even getting into a battle over boobs brands. Diddy was the face of Ciroc, and 50 Cent was promoting Effin' Spirits. It might sound silly, but these two are taking their business competition very personally. And 50 Cent being 50 Cent, he's not one to let things go. He's made a career out of trolling his enemies, and Diddy has been one of his prime targets.
Special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting them.
While 50 Cent continues to mock Diddy publicly, it's clear that Diddy's troubles are no laughing matter. The federal investigation into his activities is serious, and the charges he's facing could land him behind bars for the rest of his life. This isn't just about a couple of bad headlines, this is about a man whose entire legacy is being torn apart. As more details come out, it's hard to see how Diddy is going to bounce back from this. So the music industry, once his playground, is now turning its back on him.
Rick, bro, I'm gonna your life for fun. This a few times. This is not new.
What's even crazier is that Diddy's legal troubles have opened the floodgates for people to start talking about things that have been whispered about for years. Rumors about Diddy's wild parties and the things that went on behind closed doors have always swirled around him, but now those rumors are turning into real accusations. As more victims come forward, the picture being painted of Diddy is darker than anyone could imagine. And while some of his old friends and collaborators have stayed silent, others, like 50 Cent, are making sure the whole world knows just how far Diddy has fallen.
Well, if he really was filming everybody, I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right?
Drake, on the other hand, seems to be moving on. He's got no time for Diddy's drama, and he's made that clear. But the fact that he was so quick to distance himself from Diddy speaks volumes. It's almost like Drake saw the writing on the wall long before the rest of us did. He knew that being associated with Diddy wasn't going to end well, so he quietly stepped back. Those Instagram posts, they weren't just random memes. Drake was sending a message loud and clear: he's not going down with Diddy.
This has to be a 100% culture shock. I can't imagine living a lifestyle of the incredibly rich and famous, and then going into this very dark, impersonal, cold, austere facility.
The whole situation is a mess, and it's only getting messier. As more details emerge about Diddy's alleged activities, the fallout continues to spread, and the mogul who once seemed untouchable is now at the center of one of the biggest scandals the music industry has ever seen. And it's not just his legal battles that are causing waves. His feuds with Drake and 50 Cent are playing out on a public stage, adding fuel to the fire.
The evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized, that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named for.
Drake's decision to distance himself from Diddy isn't just about protecting his own image. It's a reflection of a larger shift happening in the industry. Powerful figures who once seemed above the law are now being held accountable for their actions, and Diddy is just the latest in a long line of celebrities facing the consequences of their past behavior. The music industry, which has long been known for its secrecy and cover-ups, is finally being forced to confront its darker side.
Now, so what is next? Is he going to be in jail in this facility until the trial begins? Is there a chance he could, get moved earlier than that?
As of this moment, as of this hour, as of today, yes. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be appealing this thing next to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn the judge's order here to try and get him actually released.
And while Diddy may have denied the accusations, the evidence against him is mounting. The fact that over 120 people have come forward with their stories speaks volumes. This isn't just one or two isolated incidents. This is a pattern of behavior that has been going on for years, and now it's all coming to light. As for 50 Cent, well, he's not letting up anytime soon. He's built an entire persona around being the guy who takes down his enemies, and with Diddy, he's found the perfect target. His Netflix docuseries, Diddy Do It, is just the beginning. You can bet that 50 will continue to troll Diddy at every opportunity, using his downfall as entertainment for his millions of followers. For 50, this is about more than just settling old scores, it's about cementing his legacy as the guy who exposed one of the biggest moguls in the game.
They once worked together a long time ago. They're not friends now. They don't like each other. And yeah, 50 has taken every shot, especially when Diddy has been down.
But for Diddy, the future is looking bleak. His empire is crumbling and his once loyal allies are turning their backs on him. The man who used to run the music industry is now facing the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars. And as the investigations continue, it's becoming clear that this is only the beginning.
I saw it posted yesterday all over our social media pages. Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy.
Yikes.
She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse.
And let's get real for a second. What's unfolding with Diddy isn't just about celebrity feuds or public embarrassments. This situation is much, much deeper. We're talking about a full-scale investigation that's got Diddy staring down the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars. Let that sink in for a moment. A man who was once one of the most powerful figures in the music industry is now fighting for his freedom, with allegations swirling around him that are too serious to ignore. And while Drake and 50 Cent might be seizing this moment to distance themselves, or in 50's case, troll Diddy relentlessly, the real story here is how everything started unraveling behind the scenes.
Complete with very, very serious and salacious allegations, including allegations that Combs had cameras throughout.
So what exactly is going down? Well, it's not just a minor legal hiccup. Diddy's facing federal charges that could change his life forever. The authorities have been building a case against him for months, if not years, and now the puzzle pieces are finally falling into place. The accusations are brutal, and if even a fraction of them hold up in court, Diddy's legacy could be wiped out in an instant. Here's the scoop. It all began when the FBI executed simultaneous raids on 2 of Diddy's properties earlier this year. The details that emerged from these searches were disturbing, to say the least. Imagine entire rooms filled with questionable items, records, and hard drives that supposedly held evidence of Diddy's private activities. We're not talking about harmless stuff here. These are the kind of things that made even the most loyal of his inner circle start to question everything they thought they knew about him. And that's what makes this whole situation so explosive. Diddy was always the life of the party, but now it seems like those parties were hiding something much darker beneath the surface. To make matters worse, authorities reportedly found over 1,000 bottles of a certain liquid at one of his properties. Yeah, let that number sink in. 1,000 bottles. Now, everyone's wondering what kind of wild parties Diddy was really throwing. And just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, sources claim that authorities also say personal tapes that, if true, could be the final nail in Diddy's career. These tapes, allegedly showing some highly questionable behavior, are now in the hands of law enforcement, and people are waiting with bated breath to see what's on them.
Well, Sierra, anything's possible, right? But now this judge has an even harder time, I think, because the past judge locked him up, didn't let him out, and he's still there available for trial. If the new judge lets him out on bond and something goes wrong, and this isn't the analysis that I'm proud to make, right? We shouldn't be saying, well, judges are worried about their own skin and how they look if something bad happens.
But it's not just about the raids. The investigation itself is far-reaching, involving a network of accusations that go back years, maybe even decades. Witnesses have started coming forward, and the stories they're telling paint a picture of a man who lived in excess, indulging in activities that weren't just about partying or pushing the boundaries of celebrity culture. So these witnesses, many of them anonymous for now, are providing testimonies that could turn this entire case on its head. And as if that weren't enough, over 120 people have come forward, adding their voices to the chorus of accusations. Among them, some prominent figures in the industry who once worked closely with Diddy but have since distanced themselves.
There are some problems that the defense has brought up originally, but it seems like, just from reading this 14-page indictment, that there is enough physical evidence to perhaps get a conviction in this case. We shall see.
And then there's Tony Busby, the high-profile lawyer representing many of these alleged victims. If you don't know who he is, Busby's reputation speaks for itself. He's taken on some of the biggest legal battles in the country and come out on top. The fact that he's involved in this case should tell you everything you need to know about how serious these allegations are. Busby's already gone on record saying that Diddy's days of living in excess and getting away with it are over. He's calling this one of the most significant cases of his career, and that's saying a lot coming from a guy who's faced off against some of the toughest legal opponents in the game.
Of course, there's layers upon layers. When you get into these conspiracy theories, man, they never end. They never end. There's just layers upon layers.
So what are these accusations? Exactly. Well, they range from inappropriate behavior to things that could have Diddy locked up for the rest of his life. So authorities are looking into claims that Diddy used his power and influence to lure people into compromising situations. And remember those parties we talked about earlier? It turns out they may have been the stage for something much more sinister. So multiple people have come forward claiming that Diddy was at the center of a larger operation involving some very questionable activities. These claims are now the focus of a federal investigation, and if the rumors are true, it's only a matter of time before the full story comes out. But let's talk about the cultural shift that's happening here, because this is bigger than just one man facing legal trouble. The music industry has always had a reputation for its anything-goes mentality. From wild parties to behind-the-scenes power plays, the industry thrived on secrecy. But in the last few years, we've seen that wall of silence begin to crumble. Powerful figures who once seemed untouchable are now being held accountable for their actions. And Diddy's case, it's just the latest and perhaps the most shocking example of this cultural reckoning.
Controlled every aspect of her life. He is accused of frequently beating her and would hide her in hotel rooms for days until the bruising and signs of abuse were gone.
We've seen it happen in Hollywood with big names facing public scrutiny and legal battles, and now it's happening in the music industry. Diddy, once hailed as one of the most influential figures in hip-hop, is now on the receiving end of a legal takedown that could reshape everything we know about power in the industry. And it's not just about the legal charges. This is about an entire culture of excess and invincibility that's finally being exposed. If you think about it, Diddy was always larger than life. He wasn't just a rapper or a producer, he was an icon, someone who shaped the very landscape of hip-hop and pop culture. He had the golden touch, from chart-topping hits to lucrative business ventures. But with great power comes great responsibility, and it seems like Diddy might have forgotten that along the way. Now, as his legal battles intensify, it feels like the end of an era. And while he denies accusations, the evidence against him is starting to pile up. Even though Diddy has tried to brush off the investigation, it's clear that things are only getting worse for him. Court documents are being released, and what's inside them is nothing short of damning. There are accounts from former employees, partygoers, and even some of Diddy's closest allies, all detailing the darker side of his life. It's becoming increasingly difficult for him to keep denying the gravity of what's unfolding.
Legitimate concern. No judge wants to wake up and read the headlines the next day. Oh, they treated this guy special and they gave him bond, and now he's gone and he fled from justice. So that's what's in the back of most judges' minds. On the other hand, we deal with cases where clients have significant funds sometimes, and sometimes where there's money, you can craft a unique solution. Years ago, it was the ankle bracelet and the ankle monitor.
And let's not forget how Diddy's legal team has been handling all of this. They've been quick to issue statements denying the allegations, claiming that these accusations are nothing more than a money grab. But at the same time, they've also been working overtime to keep certain evidence from going public. So what does that tell you? They know they're in trouble, and they're doing everything they can to keep the lid on what's shaping up to be one of the biggest scandals in the entertainment industry's history.
That with all the money he has and all the resources he has, they couldn't craft some solution that lets him be under some form of house arrest. And again, it sounds like special treatment, but the truth of the matter is, to incarcerate somebody like him is expensive to all of us. We're taxpayers, and he's got to have unique situations. You can't put him in general population where, everyone wants a piece of him and everyone wants to be his friend and everyone.
But here's the kicker: despite all this, there are still some people standing by Diddy's side. So loyal fans, the ones who've been with him since his early days, are quick to defend him on social media, saying that he's being set up. And while that's not uncommon, when a big celebrity falls from grace, it's becoming harder and harder to ignore the mountain of evidence stacking up against him. The industry itself is also in a bit of a bind. There are still artists, producers, and executives who owe their careers to Diddy. But as more allegations come to light, they're finding it harder to stay loyal.
And I remember, I don't know if you know what his voice sounds like, but I felt like I was in the presence of his monster.
The whispers about Diddy's behavior aren't new. In fact, there have been rumors about him for years, but nobody ever thought they'd lead to this. People in the industry always talked about how Diddy lived life on the edge, but they never expected the edge to come crumbling down like this. The stories coming out now are bringing back old rumors that everyone thought were just part of the myth surrounding Diddy. Now, it looks like those rumors might have had some truth to them all along.
Where his money could help us craft, he could build his separate jail cell, and we could keep him there. Just interesting to me that they sort of said, nope, you're going to be treated not like everybody else, but a lot like everybody else. Just, having money doesn't do it. So I wouldn't want to be those judges. There's sort of a no-win situation for the judge.
So, what happens next? Well, the investigation is still ongoing, and while Diddy continues to deny everything, the legal process is moving forward. And as it does, more details are going to surface. Every new piece of evidence, every new witness testimony is going to chip away at the legacy Diddy spent decades building. Whether he's found guilty or not, his name is already being dragged through the mud in a way that makes it almost impossible to recover. But the real question is, how will this affect the music industry as a whole? Diddy's downfall is bigger than just one man. It's about the culture of power and privilege that's been allowed to thrive unchecked for far too long. This case is forcing people in the industry to take a hard look at themselves and their peers. The days of looking the other way are over, and the consequences of staying silent are finally coming to light. And here's the thing, while Diddy's been busy denying the accusations, other powerful figures in the industry are probably watching this unfold with a bit of fear. If Diddy, one of the biggest names in music, can be taken down, who's next? This isn't just about the legal system catching up to one man, it's about an entire system that's been complicit in turning a blind eye to bad behavior for decades.
Don't trust nobody. In Hollywood specifically, when you get there, a lot of people don't know how to say no. That's the difference between New York City and California.
So the future doesn't look bright for Diddy. Even if he manages to avoid jail time, his reputation has been forever damaged. His name, once synonymous with success and influence, is now tied to scandal and controversy. And while some fans may continue to stand by him, the industry is moving on. Powerful figures who once seemed untouchable are now being held accountable, and Diddy's just the latest example. With everything unraveling around Diddy, the question remains, is this the end of an era for one of music's biggest moguls, or is there a chance for redemption in the eyes of the public? And what about the rest of the industry? Could other major players be next in line for a similar downfall? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, stay tuned for more juicy updates.